This podcast will hopefully contain words or statements of obscene, pornographic, or immoral character. You have been warned.
We received dozens of emails from people that'll listen to the podcast. The podcast.
Wow,
The
it is
podcast.
pretty much.
Welcome back to the world's #1 podcast about Potty Mouth Records.
Though we don't really talk about Potty Mouth Records too often.
No.
I think it's important, though, that we still are that #1 podcast.
about
crushing it.
about ourselves. We are
Exactly.
#1.
Like if we had a fan podcast that was better than us, that'd be fucking stupid.
I would immediately reach out to those people and encourage them to get better lives.
Yes. Welcome to episode 54.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was. I wasn't 100% certain. 54. Cool. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about today, it's kind of like a bummer high a little bit, but I just thought it was a good idea to like give some mention about this and maybe talk about it like a little bit. But I guess it was like 2 weeks ago now that Ken Carpenter passed away.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to bring up Tony Bennett, but
No, I don't. Did Tony Bennett die?
yeah, he died like 2 days ago. But
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. But no, so Ken Carpenter, owner, proprietor of Carpenter's World of Music in Hagerstown, Maryland.
located just one short block away from the York Cottage, home to one Matthew Rhodes.
That's true. That's very true. I mean, I guess that did make it pretty convenient for you guys when you practiced there. You could just like walk to get strings and stuff.
No, because he was never fucking open, and we practiced on Sundays. So that is where the close connection with Darv came. Not that whatever Nepper's music place was ever open on Sundays, but if you rolled up and needed something, you could they'd let you in to get it.
Gotcha. Did not know that.
Yeah. So you guys do have a lot of great stories with Carpenter. I bought my shitty SG from him. I don't think I ever really dealt with him, and nor was I very talky, nor ever wanted to pretend to be a musician. So his banter to me was pointless because I was just like, don't know what you're talking about, dude. Just give me my fucking guitar or put my EMG in it, which took fucking forever, and let's roll.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, God, I mean, we could do it like, I don't want to do this, but I mean, there's definitely could be like a whole episode almost like just dedicated to Carpenter's World of Music and just shenanigans there and just hilarious conversations with that guy. So, yeah, I don't know. I think like he was one of those people that like I think Gene mentioned in the text chain we were talking about. It's like sort of like you either sort of got him and he got you eventually, or like you're a person who just like did not fucking like that guy at all. He definitely was not someone, his personality wasn't for everybody, but if you warmed up, if he would warm up to you, it's like he would start to reveal a little bit more of like a comedy side of his personality. He was sort of like a little bit of like a funny shit talker. But yeah,
I agree, and I think like I've had better, like my experiences being with other people there that knew him or it had already become like, people he trusted or liked to talk to. Those experiences were definitely different than my alone, like rolling in, like, yeah, I need a guitar, and just like, no, I don't give a fuck. That's what I want, and it just, it was really. Yeah, me alone, I didn't get him, but I could see the magic with other people. It just, their magic wasn't spread to me. I was a non-receiver of magic.
well, and I think a little bit for me, I didn't like him at all when I first started going in there. Like, I mean, I went in there a few times when I was really young, and I wasn't like dealing with him. I was with like one of my grandparents or something, and they were dealing with him. But when I got older and started to, buy strings and guitar shop on my own and stuff like that, I didn't really like him very much at all at first. And then I think just going in there all the time and just, you eventually just start kind of chatting or whatever. And yeah, I mean, we eventually ended up having like a really cool relationship, and he sort of knew the types of guitars I was looking for. And anytime I would go in there, he'd always be like, hey, like, I got a few things in you might be interested in. And
Was he like Chuck in Pee-wee's Big Adventure when Pee-wee would show up at the magic store?
it
And
kind
Chuck would pull out all these random fucking things.
It kind of was like that, except I would say that he wasn't as enthusiastic as Chuck. It was done with more of his dry sense of humor, but yeah. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to bring him up because, I mean, if you're from Hagerstown and you have anything at all to do with music, you've probably been in there at least once. And I don't know, like, there's a guitar center in Hagerstown now, so that's kind of weird. But
that's fucking crazy.
Before that, there was, mom and pop stores, and there was a handful of them around town, and Carpenter's was just the one that was always most convenient to me. I mean, I did go to all the other stores shopping around and looking at stuff, and did buy stuff from other stores, but I would say that 90% of everything music related I bought in the 90s leading up to when I moved away was all bought from Carpenter's.
So that is probably the direct opposite. And I think my introduction to like going to music stores and stuff was the thought process. I guess from Harpster's dad was like, fuck you guys, we're not buying dumb shit up here. We're going to go down Chuck Levin's. We're going to get a good deal on it. And, it's like, we're going to buy from here. You're going to drive 45 minutes. Yes, but actually probably an hour. But we're going to get a good deal or get good product. Not saying Carpenter sold shit product. Just say it was like, we're going to get a reasonable price on this and not being shafted for driving, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that. Their shipping wasn't that much to get it from fucking wherever their hub was to Hagerstown. Like the markups sometimes were so ridiculous. It was like, fuck, what are you talking about? Yeah. It's like, I know I can get that down the road for a couple $100 cheaper, and it's not that. And I know they had, I understand business. Yeah. I don't need to hear that shit, but it's just, the feeling of getting ass raped, like used stuff that's different, new stuff. The only reason I bought a fucking guitar from him was they had an SG that I wanted, and my fucking guitar got stolen. And so it was like, it was like supply and demand at that point. And I didn't want to wait to fucking drive down to get one. Like I was impatient at that point. It's like, fuck you, dude. I want to kick out the jams. I need something cool. And Pete from Sick of It All plays one, so I'm going to play one. And I hated that fucking guitar.
Well, I want to circle back to that, but well, I only ever bought one new thing from that store ever, though. I will say that, or guitar wise, anyway. We talked about this on one of the really early episodes, but one of the very first electric guitar that I ever bought was from Carpenter's World of Music. And, but other than that, I only ever bought used stuff from there. Like I bought strings there. I bought used guitars, and I think I may have bought like an amp or two from there at some point, but mostly I just was going in there for like picks and strings and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that place was just super convenient. I mean, it was pretty much always within 10 minutes of where I was living. And then, like when we were practicing at Matt's, it's right across the street. So if you need strings before practice, it's, it's like a 30-second drive from Matt's.
Right.
So, I mean, just everything about it was just really convenient. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out to him because he was, it's kind of like a mainstay in Hagerstown, and definitely was a big part of making my musical journey, I guess, easier because they were there. So
Yeah, I'm just being a dick. No, I mean they were there. They had a job. They did it, and they did it well. I mean, people loved it. It was in business for how fucking long?
yeah, I mean, I remember very first seeing that store when it was in the mall as a little kid, like a little kid.
Yeah,
Like I had, I was basically like a fucking little cum stain at that point when I remember like seeing Carpenters in the mall for the first time.
there are still 12,000 other of you somewhere.
Only 12,000? I think there might be way more than that. But yeah, so RIP to Ken Carpenter. Sad day. But yeah.
But yeah, like you said, he definitely made his mark, and he was good. I mean, he was good to us. Like I said, my experiences were better with Nepper, and that was just because they were always there. Or like when we were in a pinch, they seemed to be able to open the door for us and get there. And they live there, so that's a big fucking difference too.
Yeah, totally. Well, I went in there a few times, and what I remember about that place is they were I think they were like one of two places in the area that actually sold Ampeg stuff. So and another actually like interesting tidbit, correct me if I'm wrong, but their store was called Make In Music. Is that correct? Like Yeah, I think they were MAKE hyphen like IN, like I'm making music, like making music.
It's very possible. It was a little fucking shingle sign. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. But possible. Then the store on Pennsylvania Avenue, though, was Machin Music, MACHEN, like it was the last name of the
correct
people.
Yes.
But they were the two Ampeg dealers.
But without the Nepper Farm music, we would not have Darv.
That's true.
And we love the fuck out of Darv. Darv, if you're out there or somebody talks to Darvin, you tell him I still have his fucking fake Les Paul. And I hope he has that shit ass piece of junk SG.
I think we talked about this before on the podcast, maybe, but at my graduation party show thing, I auctioned off that Michael Schenker Scorpions mini Flying V guitar, and Darv won that. So I always wondered if he still has that somewhere. Like whatever happened to that guitar, because that thing was hilarious. It was like so tiny.
Oh, that is fucking awesome.
Yeah. But I wanted to bring it back to the SG though, because I've always liked SGs, like seeing other people playing them. I think it's like a cool looking guitar, but I just never really thought it was like something I would ever want for myself. I don't know, just like any Les Paul I've ever played, or like your Hondo Les Pauls and stuff like that. I just always kind of liked the way they felt more than I ever liked SGs when I played an SG.
Absolutely.
But that being said, I got this weird bug up my ass about a week ago and was like, I kind of like, I don't know, sort of like hit me. I had this like desire to like look up some SGs. I was like, maybe, I don't know. It's kind of like I'm kind of digging SGs all of a sudden. I sort of just want to look them up and see what the prices are on them, and just like hypothetical shop. And I was checking some shit out, and I came across this guitar that I fell in love with a little bit too much.
Oh no!
And I'm in no position to spend this kind of money on a guitar, and probably never will. But if for some reason I do ever have said amount of money lying around that I can blow on an instrument, I think I have found the high-end instrument that I want in my life.
And it's an SG.
And it is an SG.
No fucking way.
It is. I've rarely used the word beautiful, but I will say that this guitar is stunning and beautiful. And I was like, man, dude, if I had $3,600,
fuck that. I don't even understand that.
To spend on an instrument, this is the instrument I would get, because it is well, for one thing, blue SGs are not very common. That's not like a common color for them. And that's what I was searching for. I was like, I want to try to find like a cool, like dark blue, like midnight blue looking SG.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a couple that are like a flame, like a flame top finish with like a transparent blue. But
Yeah.
I don't know, those guitars, I don't like those guitars where you can see the wood grain so much through the finish. I just think they look like I don't know, they just look like guitars that like jazz people play or like prog rock people play. They just don't look very punkish, metalish to me. But anyway, so I typed in like dark blue SG guitar, and this guitar that came up in this search, but so it's in full blown Gibson SG, but the collection that it's from, it's called the Historic Collection. So I guess it's like one of their more, so they have like the Heritage Collection, and I think the Historic Collection is even like, I may be wrong about this, but I think that's even a step above the Heritage Collection. And yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's so the color is, it's called I think it's called Electronic Midnight Mist, or like Midnight Mist Blue or something like
I
that.
really want to be the person who comes up with these fucking names.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it really is. It's like a really cool looking color, and even it has sort of like a little bit of a different style pick guard than most SGs have. And just everything about it, you can tell just like looking at the picture, like it, everything on it is like the most top quality pieces that they can get, like
Right.
the volume knobs, like everything, even the fretboard, just like the frets look like extra special rounded and like I don't know, it's amazing fucking looking guitar. I was like drooling over this thing. I was like, dude, if I had $3,600, this thing would already be like on its way.
I don't think he'd like it. I don't like the bodies, like the
Yeah.
thickness. Now I had a unibody one, which Dar was like, "This is shit." I'm like, "Yeah, it's shit. Let's just make it work." And because I think the fucking rod in the neck had already started slipping. Like it was shite. But I think that was the part that left me down, was the weight in the ass end versus like the fucking Honda doesn't count because it is a fucking brick. But like that weight and kind of thickness and fullness is what I like about that body style. On even the ESP feels the same way. Like they all have that feeling, like that weight in the ass, and that's what I kind of like.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I would obviously go and play that guitar before I would just buy it.
Yeah, I understand.
But especially for that kind of money, like if I go and try that guitar out, there better be like a special room in the store that you get to go in that's like acoustically sound and everything for that much money. But yeah, that guitar is basically like the Bentley of SGs. It's pretty sick.
So we were at one of the holiday cookouts with ex-in-laws and extended family there, and there was a kid there talking. He's like rambling about basses, and he was like, he says, and then he was like, and he didn't even play a Fender. And I looked at him, I kind of smiled, and he's like, "What?" I was like, "It's like I always thought Fenders were kind of stupid." And he got all quiet. And I was just like, and I mean, I have one, or I think I still have one. I was just like, it just, I don't know. I was always like, it felt like the run of the mill. I mean, they're solid, heavy work, and they last. Fuck it. I just always thought they were kind of lame.
No, dude, I totally get it. I mean, I was the same way about Fender forever. We talked about this before. I was never a Fender guy, and now I'm a Fender guy.
It was just funny, his arrogance about blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
Fender.
Sure.
And to me, he was definitely not old enough to like go and fucking run the course and find out what else was out there.
Yeah.
It was like fucking NASCAR brand loyalty handed down from his dad.
Yes.
That's where.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I found that guitar and I was like, well, dream guitar. This would be awesome if I like really was that interested in SG. But then I started looking at some off-brand SG style guitars, and there's some cool shit out there, man. Like I don't know, I definitely saw some guitars in the like $300 to $500 price range that were brands I never even heard of, that actually a lot of people were like, these are really well-made guitars. It's like, I don't know, there was like some fucking random dude in like Indiana or some shit like making these like SG style guitars, and people were like, these things for the price are better than any real SG I ever played, and are like way more balanced weight wise, and like,
Oh, I believe that. There's a
Yeah.
company near you that like showed up on Instagram, and I started looking at. They're in like I think they're in San Diego, and like they do like knockoff, well, not knockoffs, but they do their own style of those, and they look. I mean, as far as you can tell by looking at something on the internet, it looks like a solid, actually well-made product.
yeah.
Like, and I think it's a small studio making them.
I wonder who it is.
I'll have to look it up and see if I can find them for you. Like Kramer makes a knockoff Les Paul that I am I almost bought like a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah, really?
Like
Wow.
it's like a Kramer Assault. Like it is fucking. I don't know. It looks, and if it plays like my Kramer does, like the next, I was like, it would be the best of both worlds. It'd be that thinner neck with the fucking weight in the ass end, like the Les Pauls have. But I haven't actually seen one in person. That might be a quest one day.
That seems almost sacrilege in a way for Kramer to make a Les Paul style guitar. That just seems
It does.
out of their wheelhouse.
It does have a Floyd Rose in it, though.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
That's funny. Well, while we're talking about guitar stuff, another thing I wanted to bring up is so we talked about the 6-string acoustic that I converted to the bass, acoustic bass. Very intrigued by that project, and then it turned out so well that I started to sort of question, how did this turn out so well? How did I do what I did to this guitar? And it actually really, not tooting my own horn, but it seems like
most people would say you're farting.
Yeah, it tuned up way too well and stays in tune way too well, and like the intonation in it is way too perfect. And I was like, this can't be normal. Like this must have just been some fluke that I just did everything right, but like didn't know what I was doing. And I watched a bunch of videos on just setting up a guitar in general. Like I've always known a little bit about how to do it. I can make some tweaks on my own guitar, but if I ever need like a full setup where like the neck needs adjusted and like all that kind of shit, I've always taken it in to have someone do it. Like I know what they do and I know sort of why they do what they do, but I've just never really taken the time to learn any of this stuff like the proper way. So I watched a bunch of these videos. Well, it turns out that everything I just said was 100% correct. It's like a fucking literal miracle that what I did to this guitar worked out, that it tunes as well as it does, because it is crazy involved to actually get the intonation correct on an acoustic guitar. It apparently is really difficult. And there's so many things about like how you're supposed to do that correctly that I knew nothing about, that I didn't do, and somehow it still ended up working. So I sort of like reversed engineered what I did based on some of the videos I watched, because I was like, well, what did I do wrong, or what didn't I do at all, but why is it still working? So the only thing I could really figure out is that when I took that piece of clear plastic that I talked about where I cut out of that turntable cover, and just the way that I carved that out, I really just did by looking at it. Like I just eyed it up and kind of like shaped it. I didn't really even know that like that thing, the saddle, it's like supposed to actually have like a specific kind of curve to it. So the curve of the saddle is actually supposed to match the curve of the neck.
Oh, wow.
So like if where your neck actually connects to the body of your guitar, like let's say you're at your 21st or 24th fret, whatever that like side profile you can see of your neck, like before your pickup would start, that profile is how your saddle's supposed to be shaped. So I didn't know that at all. So upon looking at it after the fact, though, I just got lucky and I did somehow shape that saddle. The new one I made actually did match the profile of the neck, like almost perfectly. But I didn't know that was something I was even supposed to do.
How fucking lucky.
Yeah, so that part was crazy. And then the actual depth of the grooves you cut into the saddle where the strings actually sit, that's an important part of how everything works out as well. And that I was just kind of guessing it. I was just kind of dremeling those grooves out deep enough that I knew the strings would stay in place. And I just kind of went by that. And yeah, that part just worked out. So like all that stuff is like typically supposed to be like measured with like micrometers and
Oh Jesus.
like
You fucking
fancy
nailed
like
it.
yeah. So and somehow it just all I ground everything exactly the right way. So anyway, I just wanted to give myself some fucking props.
Kudos to
That
you.
that was a project I never should have done with the lack of research I had behind it. And it just I got lucky and it fucking worked out. So to everyone out there who is thinking about maybe doing a project like that to a guitar, I would highly recommend you watch some videos first before you like willy-nilly start doing it like I did, because you're probably going to end up ruining your instrument.
And now for this week's Glitch in the Internet. Tell us how it feels to be a pot-smoking fucking hippie, douchebag. Now back to the program.
So the thing I wanted to talk about today is a little bit of this might turn into a little bit of a haterade episode.
Oh my God.
I have a little bit of a hater topic today. And it's funny because we were going to actually talk about him a few episodes back and we just got sidetracked and like never returned back to it on like other episodes. But we were talking about Josh Freese, like playing drums for the Foo Fighters now. And he was actually my example of this scenario and he doesn't really do this so much with the Foo Fighters. I feel like watching him with the Foo Fighters, he sort of reverted back to his normal drumming approach. But in a lot of videos he's posted over the last like year or two, especially it seemed like pretty prominent in videos of him playing with Devo and a couple videos of him playing with the Offspring. He sort of was doing this as well, but I feel like there's this like very pronounced style of playing drums that teenage kids are doing on social media. And it's this like overly exaggerated arm movement, head bob thing. And it's like, and it looks so contrived, and you can just tell that it's basically like I watched myself playing drums and I'm boring to watch. I have to like invent movements to make myself like look more interesting when I make my social media footage.
Now it is all clear. Thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, so there's like all these like, annoying teenage drum phenoms who have this like, they're like, it's like I'm demonstrating for Curtis, but it's just like these
It's hot,
obnoxious,
trust me.
these obnoxious arm and head movements to like, I look cool on camera. It's like, it's so obviously not their actual style of playing drums. And it's like a fucking plague. So like so let's say 5 years ago, there was some person on Instagram who started playing drums this way. Everyone like looks up to this person because they have a shit ton of followers. So like some 10-year-old kid starts mimicking this fucking player's style. So now you have like these thousands of fucking teenage drum kids that all have this same fucking stupid movement. And I started noticing older people, like people in their 30s and 40s who are drummers, get infected by this. And like dudes who never played that way ever, like all of a sudden start like picking up on like a little bit of this like social media drum style. And Josh Freese was like fucking guilty of this as well. Like if you go and watch his watch him play drums in that Vandals video from the House of Blues. It's from like, I don't know, like early 2000s, maybe 2006ish or something like that. The way he plays drums, and obviously as a musician, the more you play, your style's going to evolve and you're going to get better and things are going to change. Like that's inevitable. But the core of your like live movements are going to kind of remain intact, I feel like, for the most part, like how you just present yourself on the drum kit. And he has obviously been infected by this shit, because if you watch him play, he has a lot of these fucking overly obnoxious like arm and head movements now that like teenage social media drum kids do. And I find this
That's
so
a fucking band name.
What's that?
Social media drum kid. That's gonna be our comeback name.
Yeah. That's hilarious. But yeah, anyway, it's just me being a total hater and like observing this over the last few years. And it's just I just find it so gross. And it's like, dude, get a fucking original idea. Get an original
I think
movement.
They steal it from the Dave Grohl. I think it's like it's all like the kids have watched like Dave Grohl. Like I think of like the Nirvana video, like Smells Like Teen Spirit, where he's in the back, hair's flying, and he's just, and that was his style. I'm in. I get it, but it seems like that shit is just like did a big circle back, and Josh Freese is a victim of his own lead singer's drumming from 20 years ago. 30
Yeah. No, that's a great call. Yeah. I hadn't even thought about it that deep, but yeah.
Well, when you described it, Dave Grohl played, and there was a clip with him playing with the Pretenders. And he was in the back, and like every motion that you're talking about happened in that little clip just from a week ago. Yeah. So it was just funny you described it. What I think to me is more cringy is like I get a lot of guitar wins, and they're like, well, for a while it was this one girl, and she would kill it, but the problem is she'd be like rocking, and she'd like kind of look up to make sure the camera was still recording. And I was like, fucking no. I was like, you've totally ruined it for me.
Yeah.
Because now I know you were just putting on a show for me, and you're not actually like into what you're playing. You're into what you're playing because you're putting on a performance. Like it wasn't like a natural. And it was like every time they look up to make sure the camera's recording, I'm like, I'm done. Like I go, it's like next one.
She broke the fourth wall and you were out.
Yeah. It's like, you're not fucking Ryan Reynolds, bitch. Stop. It's like only Deadpool can pull that off.
Yeah.
And Mel Brooks. But besides that, no.
Well, since we've been talking about movies a lot the last few episodes, a really cool fourth wall breaking that I saw recently that I had forgotten completely about, and it may be one of the best ones ever, is in Death Proof, the Tarantino movie. So when I
totally, you're gonna have to spell it out. I don't remember there being a fourth wall break, but
yeah, it's a great one, and it's so obvious, but it's when Kurt Russell, they're walking out from that bar, and the camera's on like the passenger side of the car looking over the roof of the car, and he's walking up, and he like opens up the door to get in, and he's looking out towards, like straight ahead, like out past the hood of the car. And then he deliberately turns and looks right in the camera and like has like this shit-eating grin as he gets in the car, like basically like, what's getting ready to happen.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know. I don't remember that, but now I'm going to have to, I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah. But I was like, oh my God, that's like one of the best fourth wall breaks of all time.
The fact that he doesn't say anything. It's just a glance at the camera. Like it's like in Revenge of the Nerds. When what's his name goes in for Betty, he like looks to the camera and like smiles.
Yeah.
Or actually, I think Wormser does it too. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, the Wormser one. Yeah, that's a good one.
When they're watching them undress and they're fucking
the panty raid.
Yeah, fucking magical. There was awesome. A list of like movies that couldn't be made, now, and it is like it was pathetic because it was all shit that I like. A lot of it I'd recently watched.
You're like,
Because I
oh, all
fucking
my
love
favorite movies.
Movies, yeah. Like some of them were like uber fucking obvious, like Blazing Saddles and shit like that.
Right.
It's like I saw like a little meme somebody did, and it was like I watched the edited version of Blazing Saddles on TV from 9:05 to 9:07. It was like it was like, yeah, everything was just fucking sneaky.
Gotcha. That's cool. I'm glad that you sort of picked up on, like I said, I'm not really on social media that much anymore, but you noticed that as well, just with like the copycat shit. It's just I don't know, man. That shit cringes me so bad. I'm just like, fuck. Social media has its place and it does have its pros and advantages, but it also is like almost like a fucking poison to art in so many ways too.
Dude, yes, and yes. Like it is a double-edged sword that I hate fucking dealing with. And I'm getting to the point, but now I'm like, I don't know where my outlet is past that. Like if I'm chilling, like what do I chill? Like when I'm laying in bed, like where's my chill now? Because before I got back on the social medias, because I took a couple year hiatus, like it was just like me looking for equipment. Like I just spent hours on like Amazon and Reverb and
Yeah.
eBay, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like just scoping out what my next like little purchase would be. But now it's like, ugh, I don't know. But that shit's the devil. I hate it. But it's like a necessary evil, sadly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sad when like someone of such status as a drummer can even be like influenced in that manner, like that they watch so much, they're like engaged with social media so much that the manufactured style of a teenager starts to creep into their style, and they're like an established drummer of over 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's like now you're trying to look like you're playing like a 12-year-old kid on Instagram. Like it's just fucking sad and pathetic.
That's so fucking awesome.
And like I said, I don't even think it's deliberate. I just think that they're just so into that whole watching that shit all the time. It just starts to creep in.
How did those styles develop prior to social media? Is it a picture of bottom of in the fucking in magazine where you're like, I need to make sure at some point I get a hair flip. So and my hair, like how does it go? I think my favorite like drummer thing was like the DRI live at the Ritz.
Uh-huh.
And they fucking roll across the drums and he's fucking flying and he's just like looks like it's like another day at the office.
Yeah.
There's like he's not even fucking sweating it. He's just like and he's just like expressionless, just I'm here having fun. It wasn't like this big production of like, look how crazy I am.
Yeah.
It was just like and he's just smiling away. I forget. I want to say it's Spike, but that's the guitarist. Can't think of the drummer.
Felix was the drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of people rocking out on the drums and like putting on a good show. Like that's fucking cool. But it's like, be your own person, like make your own style. I mean, everyone's got influence. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but just literally like mimicking movements because you think someone else who has a lot more followers, like that's going to help you get followers. If like this is the formula they're using, like if I use that same formula, I'll probably get us the same amount of followers or something. There's like, I don't know. It's just fucking pathetic. But all right, I'm done being a hater about that now.
No, you're allowed to be a hater.
I just wanted to get that off my chest. But
I think it's quite all right.
Another thing I wanted to bring up today, this is actually the first thing I wanted to lead in with, and then I just kind of forgot. We got into other stuff, but I broke out a record 2 weeks ago that I hadn't listened to in, I would say, definitely 20 years, easily. And when I listened to this record again, I got really, really sad that it had been that long since I listened to it because I forgot how much I fucking love this record and how awesome it is. And it is Fudge Tunnel Hate Songs in E minor.
I believe that's the one with Sunshine of Your Love, or the
Yeah.
fucking cover on it. It's not
got,
Sunshine.
it's got two covers. It's got Sunshine of Your Love and Cat Scratch Fever.
Oh my God. Fucking forgot about that.
Fudge Tunnel popped in my head one day. I don't even know why. There was no real rhyme or reason. I was just like, oh man, like I kind of forgot about Fudge Tunnel and how much I loved that album when it first came out. And I have the CD, so I dug it out and I was like, I don't know, it was like weird. I had this moment of like looking at the cover and I just definitely had sort of like this deja vu moment of, oh man, like, yeah, like I remember how much I listened to this and like I had forgotten how much I loved that record. And when I put it in, just how it starts off with like the like kind of bass and then it like builds up into that first song. And I was like, oh, I was transported back to my youth and it was cool. And it was, that album is fucking amazing. It's so heavy. I feel like they were so ahead of their time for what they were doing when that came out. Like I can't think of another band that really sounded like them. Just really good musicians and like the vocals were really aggressive, but you could still kind of like understand what he was saying. And the recording was really awesome. But yeah, that cover of Sunshine of Your Love, it's so brutally heavy.
Dude, I totally remember that. That was in such heavy fucking rotation at Gabe's house. Like when that shit came out, like that was like on the weekends, that bitch was played multiple times.
Yeah.
Totally remember that. That's so crazy.
They did that second record, Creep Diets, and I that one was okay, but I didn't like that one as much as Hate Songs in E minor. Hate Songs in E minor to me, that's just, if you want the definition of like a perfect fucking heavy metal, like punk edged rock record, dude, like look no further. That is the fucking jam.
That is crazy. I think I had that kind of fallback with what was it? I brought it up with the Pitch Shifter. I think it was Dehumanized. Like I was like, dude, there was nothing like it. Them, their drum machine. I still dig bands that fucking just fucking drum machine it up.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's a band called something Theory. Now I'm gonna look it up. But it's just two guys, and I'm pissed I didn't drive to Philly to see them. But it's just two guys, and it's fucking phenomenal.
Gotcha. That sounds interesting, though.
Just fucking drum machine, bong bong. I don't even know how to fucking program. Easy Drummer doesn't do that drum, like those types of drums.
Well, it does, but you have to buy that expansion pack. That's like the more like EDM expansion pack or whatever.
Is that? They were just on sale, so I fucked up.
Yeah, you fucked up, dude. But anyway, Fudge Tunnel. If you've never heard of Fudge Tunnel and you're looking for something new to check out, I highly recommend them. They also, for fans of Sepultura, the singer of Fudge Tunnel and some other dude in the band, they did a like kind of like all-star band with some of the dudes from Sepultura called Nail Bomb.
Oh yeah,
which
Gene had on his table while we were talking one day.
That's a really awesome record as well. But yeah, check out Fudge Tunnel, Hate Songs in E minor. Awesome record, heavy record, good record.
You know, a random ass band that I kind of thought of that I haven't listened to in forever and loved the shit out of was Gas Huffer.
I don't know. I've heard of that band. I know I've heard like a song or two here and there, but not sure I've ever really dug into them.
Well, the album that like I love is basically, it sounds like a fucking Ramones ripoff. Like they were just making a Ramones album.
Okay.
But it's awesome. Like I think this is what got me started on the comps is I think it's on Fat Music for Fat People or like one of those like early ones. And it was like, they were like, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. It's like, why have I never heard of them? But what was I gonna say? So I know I took a beating in the bomb threat thing because I was shitting on the new Ringworm song. So I went and they put out a second single last week
Okay.
and I listened to this one. I was like, yes, it's got some weird little blast beats in it that it's like I'm not completely comfortable with, but it is what it is. That's part of the song. But it's like there are blast beats in weird spots. Like it's like in the middle of the chorus or something. You'll hear it's like, but then I went back and listened to the first song, going, maybe I'm just in dick mode. No, I still don't like the first song.
Yeah.
It still fell short. It was
Bummer.
like definitely one of those. I was like waiting for the punch to happen, and there was no punch. I think Dave said it constantly punched, and I was like, yeah, well, that's the problem. Because there was no like,
Yeah.
and I was actually like, I went from listening to like a older Ringworm. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be listening to these two new songs while I'm driving home. And like his voice is like buried in the mix in this new one. And I guess if I wouldn't have left, like I think it's like Death Becomes Her or something into this one, it wouldn't be as noticeable. But it was like he is like buried in the mix compared to like older recordings.
Huh.
It was weird. Yeah, I was very unhappy with my approach to going into that because I was like, I was turned off already because he was buried in the mix. I was like, I can hear him, but it was just
do you think he's buried in the mix because of bad mixing, or do you think it was done on purpose because his vocals aren't as strong?
I don't want to believe that his vocals weren't as strong.
Okay.
How about that? Is I'm more in denial that the vocals weren't as strong. But I mean, definitely just throw up like the Death Becomes Her, whatever the fuck, just like a song off of there, then throw up one of the new singles. It's like back to back. All of a sudden, it's like, where does voice go? It's like all of a sudden, it's like, so
Yeah.
I mean, we could be accepting bad mixes from earlier records. There isn't a range to his voice. He's not like fucking trying to sing Welcome to the Jungle or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's weird. And I find it hard to believe that he's lost his oomph out of it. He's lost his ass out of his vocals.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's 90% of the band.
Well, I mean, kind of apples and oranges music wise, I guess, but and I haven't heard the entire record, but I heard like 3 songs, and the newest Iron Maiden record, I thought his vocals, and their records are always, you know, obviously mixed amazingly because they have gabillions of dollars, but it's like the very first Iron Maiden record I can really remember where the vocals were noticeably seemed mixed way too low. And I mean, he's usually pretty prominent in the mix. And I was like, I'm wondering if like this was just a mistake.
Or is it the style now?
Yeah, artistic style to go that route. Or I was like, or maybe like, is he struggling a little bit and like they're just like kind of like bringing him back a little bit now in the mix.
So this is actually probably a question for the guy that mixed your last tape.
Mm-hmm.
Is it or is it part of the way the media is produced now? Like the reason it sounded pushed back to me was I was in the car.
Yeah.
And it wasn't mixed for somebody sitting in the car with 4 speakers. You know, it seems like it's hard to mix a fucking record and get it right on every fucking platform.
Yeah.
So what is like where, like, which one do you cut? Is it like, I don't give a fuck about the guys listening in their car. It's about the guy listening in his headphones or coming out of his phone. The phone speaker has to be your first go-to.
I mean, you're talking about that guy who recorded me, and like, yeah, basically everything you're saying is stuff we talked about. And he was like, you know, basically when he was in recording school, there's definitely new approaches to mixing and EQing and stuff that, you know, is different than it was 20 years ago because of having to, you know, prepare stuff for so many different listening devices. yeah, so like all that stuff has to be taken into account. And the more you're trying to do like a generic catch-all mix, the more it's gonna suffer in something a little more high fidelity or something, and vice versa. So yeah, it's just finding that sweet spot. I mean, I know when he mixed my stuff, he was like, he'd text me and be like, "Hey, I got like a new mix for you to listen to, but I'm not going to send it to you yet because I'm still checking it and everything." And I'd be like, "Well, what's everything?" And he'd be like, "Well, I got to take it out to the car. I got to like put it in the cloud so I can listen to it through my phone, so I can listen to it through my laptop." So so like basically he was like checking it in like 5 different locations before he would send me a mix. And then he'd be like, "Okay, well, this one part I don't like the way it sounds on the phone compared to the car, so I got to like do this other tweak."
So that's great. I mean, like in like the recording class, I guess I took, like that dude, he's the one that kind of introduced me to the fucking open back headphones. And then it's like you got to listen to it. You can listen to it in your headphone, but you got to do it like in your opens, so you can actually get a bleed through of actual fucking environment.
Yeah,
about how
totally.
it's going to sound
Yep.
like sitting in it. And then you got to mix through like mono, make sure your mono sounds good. Like
Mhm.
I was like before I watched those classes, I was like, I would never have thought about half that shit. And I don't actually now I hate using closed back for anything like music, because
Yeah.
I want to be able to hear like everything around me, and I want air into the mix so I can hear it. But I just wonder if that is what's happening to the music. We had a discussion downstairs last night about we were talking about a Melvin's album, and Gavin has the original of one of mine. I would imagine it's Stag or like Lysol, and Zach had picked up like a repress, and they listened to him, and he was like, the original is so much better.
Yeah.
He's like, there's like so much compression on the new record. And like the question is, you don't know whether that's the facility, if it's a remaster, or just how the information gets from, the Melvins to them. Like, is it different?
Yeah, I think it's all that actually. I mean, everything you just said is exactly why vinyl is so expensive to get original copies of anything now. It's because all the original stuff sounds so much better through like a high fidelity system, whereas like the represses are usually always, they market this shit as remastered, like it's better. And sometimes it is. Sometimes stuff is remixed and remastered and it actually does sound better than the original. But I feel like 9 times out of 10 that's not the case. And like remastered shit is they're doing what we just talked about. They're trying to even it out for like all devices. So if you're someone with a decent system, you kind of get fucked because you're going to get sort of like the thinned out like hard limited version that just like sounds a little like crispy and loses that dynamic response. Like I've definitely dropped some serious money on some records because I wanted the original because of reading reviews of the less expensive represses that are like sound like garbage. So for example, the Butthole Surfers record Electric Larryland, that record usually original copies of that usually go for about $150, and the represses are about 40. But
Nice.
everyone says the represses are just like complete garbage, and like don't buy them. Like they're like, if you have a decent system, they're like, if you have one of those little turntables that you can take on a picnic with you, like buy the $40 version. But if you have like a good system, like invest the money. And I got one for $100, and it sounds amazing, but I don't have the other one to compare it to, but it's like, I'll just spend the extra 60 and know I'm getting exactly what I want.
And then I wonder, is like a lot of these places, as they all come back online, like do they have the same knowledge that the guy that they fucking fired 20 years ago because they stopped making records,
Yeah.
Like, does the guy they bring on now to kind of run the presses and mix and do, does he have that knowledge? I think it's
Yeah.
a craft that,
Yeah.
people they lost. And I think it's more than just fucking putting it in the press and off the master and making it work. Like, there's a thought involved.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point is, yeah, like their vinyl just went away there for so long. And then how many people were working at those facilities who may have been getting close to the tail end of their career anyway. And they're like, oh, fuck it, I'm out. And then it was, yeah, like maybe just like that knowledge base wasn't really necessarily passed down to the next generation correctly, I guess.
Yeah, I just wonder. Because there's just the places are coming on. Like Metallica bought their own fucking vinyl plant,
Yeah.
but it's like even if they have say 100, it's not going to be 100, but 70 years of experience. The plant does. It doesn't mean they were constantly in production of fucking vinyl, or it wasn't pared so fucking far down. Like nobody was doing fucking 12 inches forever.
Yeah.
Like there was still a market for 7s, but the 12s pretty much disappeared. Like they were few and far between. Now it's all you can fucking find. And it just like I said, I just wonder if it's like the death of like a craftsman that's not there anymore to make sure that you're getting everything you should be getting out of that vinyl, like in your mix and in that master you send them, instead of hitting my easy mix for vinyl
Yeah.
master and putting it in there like as the last thing, so that it tapers all the low ends and high ends and makes it sure it doesn't make your fucking record jump off or needle jump out of the record.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to circle back a little bit to a thing you mentioned about recording that you learned from that class you took. And it kind of made me chuckle because that was something I had sort of figured out a year or two back. And it really is sort of one of the main secrets of getting your mixes way better. And it's like once I figured this out, and so anyone who does home recording who's listening, if you're not doing this, highly recommend it. But if you're mixing in stereo, and then always checking it in mono as you're mixing.
Oh my
Like
God,
once
so
I've like,
key.
yeah, dude, yeah, like once I figured that out, I was like, oh man, this is such a simple thing, but I never would have thought about this on my own. It's like once you get it sound, if you can make a mix sound good in mono, like the stereo version is going to be just really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you can, that's where you can do all your crazy pans and shit. But I think because I do a stereo, then I do a mono, and then I go back and check it out again in stereo.
Yeah.
Like I make sure the mono is not the last. I actually listen to it back in stereo again. But of course, then it's like listen to it in the car. But honestly, that whole open back headphones, and even with headphones without, and then listening to it with like in mono, like there's so many fucking phases to get it right. But learning that now, I feel a lot better when I get in the car and I listen to something that I know it's going to be better than like 3 years ago when I got in the car. Like, where the fuck's the vocals? I know the vocals are in here.
I've actually had some experiences where I was doing a stereo mix and I actually liked the way it sounded better when I put it in mono. I'm like, oh, weird. Like this actually like sounds kind of better, but I don't know. It's just sort of weird, I think, to have an aggressive guitar record that is in mono. Like I think mono is cool if you're doing something maybe a little more like lo-fi or acoustic or something, but I don't know. I think like heavier guitars need to be panned a little bit.
I agree. I totally agree. I'm such a fucking knob that I love fucking trying to push shit left and right.
Yeah.
Just because I listen to so much at work in headphones, and there's so much you don't realize is panned left and right until you fucking get a pair of headphones. And for some reason, you have to pay attention to somebody. So I only have one headphone on.
Yeah.
And it's all of a sudden shit's like, where is that? Where did that go? And it's like, it's all scrambled around. I love it. that makes me happy.
Well, you were talking about Ringworm. This is one last thing I wanted to bring up. Talking about like 90s hardcore. You had sent that song out that you found, that Catharsis song that was from, I guess, 2010 or something like that. But it's that song called Arsonist Prayer that's like a 10-minute song or something.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Catharsis fan. I'd never even heard of that song. And so when I clicked on it, I was like, what is this even from? I was like, what year is this? So I looked it up even before I listened to it because I wanted to see what year it was. And I don't know, man. Like, that song is fucking awesome. And I was like, dude, like, I don't know what the deal with them is. Like, if they ever really stop playing, you know, like maybe they've always been a band and has always been like playing shows. I kind of thought they sort of weren't playing there for a number of years, but like would get together maybe every so many years and play a show. But anyway, they're not a band that really were consistently putting records out. Like they had like those 2 or 3 in like the early to mid 90s, and then they didn't really put anything out like forever, as far as I know. And for a band to, I think, stop for assuming as long as they did, which was probably 12 to 15 years, and then put that song out, man, I was like, dude, that's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like it's pretty rare for a band to kind of stop playing and to be able to just jump right back into sort of where they left off and have it be so believable. Like, that song is fucking heavy as shit. And it sounds like it was recorded in 95, but it wasn't.
it totally sounds like the continuation of, what was it, Samsara? Was that the last one?
I think
like,
so.
It sounds like a total like evolution. Like as they progress, they got more experimental, I guess would be a good word. Like it is such like just a continuation of them. So they're on Bandcamp, so you guys can go. Even after I made fun of fucking Jonathan forever about fucking Bandcamp, they're on it, and that's where you can find the song. So the question is, did you sucker in and go to the 2-hour version of the Arsonist Prayer?
2-hour version?
There is a 2-hour fucking version.
Wow, that's a commitment.
And so this shit rang so true to me because like it's the kind of, like, I love that thought process. Like, I don't know if it actually hit the medley part. Like, I think I made it an hour and a half, and then I had to go, like I was doing something to work and I had to take my headphones off. So I don't even know if they got to like the hardcore part of the whole fucking song.
Right.
But it was just this like opus of them. It is like this, opus is not the right word, but it's like this fucking 2-hour noise orchestration. It was I don't know if it was really good, but it talked to me a lot because I like shit like that.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely check that out, at least to, I don't know if I'll make the whole thing, but I want to give it a shot.
It's a commitment.
Yeah.
It's totally a commitment.
Fuck up on the potty. Let's get the information straight.
Okay, so I need to jump in here and set the record straight. So I'm a moron, and I didn't do my research. That shit was all recorded in 2001. The final vocals for Absolution, which was the song they released in 2013, was actually completed in 2013. That big opus, I think, was actually worked on and was released in 2019, but the actual song was done in 2001. Anyway, once again, it's this whole thing about bands sticking to their guns and not jumping on the major platforms, and now they just get fucking bypassed.
Well, I feel like that song, that Arsonist Prayer song, it really is. It's almost like they made a song that's like a greatest hits album. It's like they really did like go back through their first 3 releases and pick out like everything good they ever did as a band and just took those elements and made it into one awesome 10-minute song.
Yeah, yes, I agree. They're fucking badass. I want to see them when they play. I guess in Richmond.
Yeah,
That
that's
sounds
cool.
like a fucking hike too.
I watched because you had said that they were playing some shows currently, so I looked a couple up on YouTube, and they're in Europe right now, and I watched a couple songs from them playing over there, and I'm not 100% certain, but I think that the I know the singer obviously is like the main original dude, and I think the one guitar player may actually be one of the original guys as well, but I think all the rest of the band is like all new people. But yeah, that band's amazing, dude. I think like out of all the 90s hardcore like metalcore type bands, they're definitely in the top 3 for me, 100%.
I totally agree, and they have so missed, like, the younger generation has no idea because of I don't know, lack of label support. It's not even lack of label support. I just don't think I don't know why they didn't carry over like everybody else. It's bizarre because like Gavin and Zach are like, who the fuck are you talking about? I'm like,
Wow.
what are you talking about? They're fucking awesome.
I'll even go as far as to say that Catharsis, Samsara, and Integrity, Those Who Fear Tomorrow are the 2 best metal hardcore records of the 90s.
I will not argue that one bit. Not at fucking all. I mean, I think the
yeah.
first Catharsis is good, but like the Samsara was just like that, and to me it was like, oh, masterpiece is such a strong word, but yes, like it is like 30 minutes of fury.
Yeah, to me, those 2 records really just embody the essence of that genre. And those 2 I'll even like I love Those Who Fear Tomorrow. Like that's probably one of my favorite hardcore records of all time. But I will say that the Samsara record, the energy in that recording, I can't like I get kind of like chills even like talking about it and thinking about it, but like I can't think of another record that I own in my collection that when I put it on, the negative vibes like come to life and jump out of that record. It's like it's such a mood and such a vibe of just despair and anger,
total anger. It is like I guess it's his vocals, and it's just it always like they are so raw.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like it's his like last breath put into.
Yes, it is. It like every line is like I'm gonna force you to believe every fucking thing I'm saying.
Yes, they haven't been on a streaming platform until a streaming platform like Apple or Spotify that I know of until probably this year or last year. I think it's this year. They haven't been on like any streaming platform until 2023.
Yeah, and I'm honestly surprised they're on there at all based on like just how anti everything they are. So
I know. I think sometimes you gotta dance with the devil.
yeah, I think
to get your name out and to get that support. Like not everybody travels that unbeaten path. Like they still like, I need to get my music. How am I getting it? Sometimes you still have to go to Walmart to buy the record.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head too with the younger generation just isn't as familiar with them, and they're probably figuring that out, and like they're like, we don't want to fucking do this, but if we want to keep staying relevant, we can't count on like all the old crowd always coming to see us.
Yeah, it's like, and still it's even with that, it's like, it's like you can tell them, but that you can say, hey, well, we're on Bandcamp, which was our argument, but it's like, but not everybody accesses music that way,
Yeah, totally.
So now your homework is to do the 2 hour. It's in 2 parts. I'm going to listen to the last half hour this week to see if they actually go crazy in the last half an hour.
Well, I can tell you what, based on today's podcast, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go listen to that record and Those Who Fear Tomorrow today.
I know I'm ready to listen to it too. That's funny.
Yeah, I'm actually going to even break out the records today. I'm going to get the record player running and fucking go full charge on the stereo.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. Jealous.
Yeah.
I almost bought one off of eBay,
Yeah.
but it went a little too high. Like I bidded it up to a point and I was like, nah, I can't do it.
Which record?
Samsara.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have CD of it. Oh, now he's going to go dick mode, everybody, and fucking pull out the vinyls just to show me he has them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, here you go. Here I am, Captain Penis.
Oh, yeah.
That is fucking awesome. Yeah, you're going to have to, that'll have to be your video clip. Yeah, you're a dick bag.
I have all their CDs, but this is the only, well, no, it's not true. I have this full length, and then there's a Crime Think comp that I have that I think has, yeah, I forget what it's called. It's got Gehenna on one side and Catharsis on the other side. But then, yeah, I have all their CDs though.
Oh my God, that's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I remember this is, I think it, oh yeah, it's on like clear vinyl.
You're such a moron.
Yeah.
That's fucking badass. I'm so jealous right now. So I'm going to have to just yell things mean to you, dick.
Cool. Well, I think we should wrap things up and
no pot shots at Danzig?
Nah, we'll leave Danzig alone today. I feel I fucked with the Misfits too much last time. I'll give them a break today.
Bad juju. I agree.
Cool. All right. Well, talk to y'all next time.
Adios, motherfuckers.
Later.
This podcast was brought to you by Potty Mouth Records. Contact us at pottymouthrecords@gmail.com and find us on the web at pottymouthrecords.rocks. That's .rocks.
That was way better than I expected.
Watch a bit, the call is just around the corner. It's not very far. 7 herbs and spices made just my way. They come from a country so far away.
Well, the Colonel's got chicken. Yes, the Colonel's got chicken. Well, the Colonel's got chicken. And it's finger licking.
I'm so hungry, I just